Hello, hello, and welcome to our very last of the Riverona live streams. This may be weird for you if you've seen us before. Suddenly, Aaron's doing the introduction. Well, you know what? We are 2 weeks before show, and I think we're all feeling a little haphazard and crazy. So, thus, this live stream will be too. Also, let's just address the elephant in the room. Kevin, our normal host, is also
I'm
hosting a
I'm
D&D game.
currently in the middle of a Dragons game, so I will be going over to play it every so often. It's right over there, so it's fine.
It's fine. It's like 3 steps to the right. So that's Kevin. Kevin is one of our writing team members. He plays Principal Prince. He's directing episode 2. I think everyone knows me because I'm here almost every week. I'm Erin. I am one of the co-artistic directors of Full Circle Theater. I am the showrunner of Riverona, and I play Tybalt. And up in the other, I don't know, it's the other corner for me, but I know we're projecting Kevin's screen, so I could be pointing at nothing. We have Megan and Hands. Megan and Hands, introduce yourselves and say hi.
I'm Megan. As you can tell from my backwards hat, I'm very cool. And it's not because I've been trying to conserve water and haven't washed my hair. It's because I'm cool.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason to put your hat backwards.
And I play Juliet, and I also direct episode 4.
Yeah, and I'm Hans Walkerhauser. I am playing Romeo in the show, and I am also directing episode 3. And it is my first foray as a theater director.
It's his first four-way, guys.
It's my first four-way. I mean, it kind of is a four-way. Right? Yeah, it's my first four-way theater directing experience. Yeah, so that's exciting. So come on out and see the crazy fun that is Riverona once the shows are actually out.
Why don't we talk a little bit about that, since I think this is both of your first time on the show since we started rehearsals, and Megan has directed before, Hans has not. So why don't you all tell me a little bit about how your directing experiences are going?
I mean, it's definitely I can't say that this would be a normal theater directing experience, because normally you just have one director for the whole show. But the way that we have done it is because we have sort of meta TV show episodes for the show. It just made more sense to have a different director for each show, and then one showrunner or 2 showrunners, I guess, with Full Circle Theater being the showrunners for all 4 episodes, to sort of have it be a season of TV. And just have a couple just individual voices bringing their own flavors to the comedy of the show while, maintaining a through line. So it was kind of twofold, I guess. But yeah, for me, it's been a fun experience. I've learned a lot about, my sort of directing style, if I can even call it that. But yeah, and it's just great to work with so many people that we've worked with before and have input on what they're bringing to the table. So they're bringing such awesome stuff to the table. I barely have to direct, but usually as an actor, when you see somebody doing something good, you're ooh, it'd be cool if they did that. You never get to actually do that. But as a director, you get to be oh, it'd be cool if they tried this. That gave me an idea. And then you see it, you get to see it. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, totally.
First of all, I would like to acknowledge that I think Erin got her hair done.
I got it toned. It is darker than I anticipated. However, it is the same color it was for episode 2. So I know that it looks blonde on stage.
Mm-hmm. Looks nice.
But I will say, I looked at it and I was like, "Ooh, okay, all right, that's not blonde."
Directing for me, I hadn't really directed before Riverona episode 1 when we did the workshop production. I teach kids, so I direct kids a lot. Teach and direct with youths and teens. So it's been nice to work with adults for the most part. And more experienced actors, although we do have some young screen people as well, which is also great. I think working with different skill levels and experience levels brings a lot of fun dynamics and energy to the room. I am very glad I'm not directing all 4 episodes.
I think that's fair.
Why not?
It's nice to just be able to act for some of it.
Yeah. Just walk on
And
stage and do
just,
things.
Yeah, and just do that and have someone else. I mean, to be fair, you and I co-directed because it was a big undertaking for any one actor in the show to direct when they're already inside. But yeah, it's nice to just get to act a little bit for some of them.
Do you ever find yourself being like, "Ooh, that's not how I would direct that"?
Oh, but I did that before I directed. I did that before I before I ever directed. I was like, that's the wrong choice. I just didn't say it, and now I get to say it, and people tell me I'm good, as opposed to getting pissed off at me. People are like, "Oh, yeah, that's a really good point." And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to keep all this inside, and now people value."
I guess that is like the big difference between an actor and a director, is because you have to hold those feelings inside as the actor, of like, you have an idea of how something should go when you're reading the script. And then when it's not going that way, when you're actually doing it, and your brain starts to malfunction as the actor, is like, no, this is not at all how I had planned it. As a director, you get to steer it in that direction. But as an actor, your job is to just listen and receive what the person in front of you is giving you. You can't you're not in control of what anybody else is going to do on the day.
There's something lovely in that, in the collaboration that comes from just actor versus actor. But there is something particularly for Riverona that is gratifying, having, being the people who created it, wrote it, conceptualized, or giving birth to it, acting in it, to be able to take the level of control that not directing it wouldn't give us. So
I think it would be hard to completely give this project away. Kevin and I have talked about this before, but we do have an outside director, someone who is connected to the project but not a part of it, directing episode 1. And I think that was perfect for episode 1 because it's been produced twice.
Yes.
But I think it would be extremely challenging to hand this over and have them asking questions and have to figure out how to navigate answering those questions as an actor versus the playwright versus.
Well, and I have
visionary.
done that, like with my first play, and it famously did not go well for me. So like as a writer, I wrote it and I acted in it, but I brought in an outside director that was famously, in our circle of friends anyway, a tragedy. This is not the case with Troy, who came in to direct episode 1. I'm grateful that he's there. He's seen the project. He has produced it basically through Common Ground, episodes 1 and 2. We're comfortable handing that off to someone, but when you've conceptualized and written a new project, and the reason I did it with my first play that I wrote, my first play that I'd written by myself, I'd collaborated with Full Circle before. I said, I'm not going to act, direct, and write it. That sounds like way too much. And then the person I had brought in to direct it assured me that they were on board with the spirit of collaboration that comes from a new script that is still in the works. I believe it wasn't completely finished when I was brought on to do it at a couple festivals. So I was still writing it. And then I'd had done one reading of it. I hadn't workshopped it at all. So when we got into rehearsals, I was like, gotta change that. And eventually it exploded.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the risk that you run with stuff like this, especially like if you're going to write something and then be on site with a director, it's going to be very hard to keep your mouth shut, I would imagine.
Well, the thing is, I didn't think I had
to. If you're going to pass it off to somebody, pass it off and then go far enough away
Yeah.
that you can just come and watch the end result rather than just be in the room, because they're going to change. People are going to change stuff, right? They want to put their own artistic flair on stuff. And when it's your baby, it's going to be devastating to watch all the work that you put into it kind of be picked apart in front of you. You have to remove yourself when it's so new. Like, I would love to see this in the future at some point, somebody else doing all of it, but I would not want to be in the room in the rehearsal process with them doing it.
I think this is a bit of a different beast, though, because we've been
Mhm.
lucky enough to workshop Riverona.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've done staged readings of episode 1 twice. We've done 2 productions of episode 1. We've done a production and stage reading of episode 2. We've done stage readings of 3 and 4. So we've gone through some of the ugly, bumpy, rewritey stuff that Megan didn't have the opportunity to go through.
Yeah.
And it sounds like your workshop performance, maybe though it wasn't a workshop, your festival performance should have been a workshop. Instead, it was just kind of like taken and made into a production.
Yeah, it just sucks because unfortunately the time for that play is over. I like to think Riverona is relatively timeless. I do feel like if anyone else wanted to produce Riverona, I think we'd be okay with like putting some asterisks in the script and be like, change this to make the joke work for your cast. Change this to make the joke work for whatever's popular now. And it's like with the play that I had written, it was very much a product of the time. And I don't think it's and I had such a bad experience that I did
It's done.
That is done. It didn't get produced past the 3 performances we had at the festival that it was done at, and that I wish I hadn't let that get to me as much, because I do really like that. I do really like a lot about that play, but it's like it was about feminism in the video game world, and it was like very much a product of the culture that was happening at that time, which is when doxing, and there was a scandal in
like women are ruining video games.
Ruining video games. There was particularly a scandal in female journalists, game journalists, where online trolls were like doxing them, and things like that. And it's like that's just not really.
Well,
that's not as relevant.
It's not as forefront. It's not as forefront in the media as it was then.
So I think something like Riverona has a kind of a timelessness, even though we've written jokes in that are specific. But I would be okay anyway, and that's something you guys can speak to. If someone was like, "Oh, we loved Riverona," we would just like put, instead of like curly hair and big boobs, we like write something about your Juliet.
Yeah.
If TikTok isn't relevant anymore, write a joke about.
I mean, here's
different social media.
Here's my hope is that it is evergreen. Well, I mean, we wrote stuff that's like happening now into it, just like any other teen drama. But the thing is, like, teen dramas have been happening since before Shakespeare's time. And that's why I'm hoping that it is evergreen, because comedy, if it's written well, there's jokes layered in there that will go on to time immemorial, because people will be people all the way into the future. And the story of love and romance and teens falling in love super hard is something that everybody will be able to relate to forever. So
to make an argument on that front. So go ahead, Kevin.
I think where the show is by its nature, it is based on things from the 90s. So it's already, it's a weird thing, but by doing something that's already a bit out of time, it almost makes it more timeless, because it is already referring to something we are not currently in. So, I mean, timeless.
I mean, there's also
nothing's timeless in the long-term things, but in the short term. Yeah.
And there's also modern stuff in it too. But teenagers today, I know for a fact, teenagers still watch Friends. Teenagers still watch and love Gossip Girl. Those are very much products of their time with cultural references from their time. Like, there's no way kids today know who George Stephanopoulos is unless they look it up.
Yeah.
So we have that going for us, because we're right in that genre.
Yeah.
Which is sort of one of the arguments I try to make when I'm advertising the show to people, that I feel like doesn't really matter if you saw Common Ground or if you saw The Remount, because people have comfort TV shows. Like they'll watch the same TV show over and over and over, and people have comfort movies. My boyfriend
Mhm.
goes to see Jurassic Park every time it's in theaters. So there's no reason why people can't spend $25 to come see a show again
Yeah.
that they've already seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe somebody said, I can't remember which review it was, but they said that it felt like a scripted improv, to paraphrase. I can't remember exactly what it did, but a scripted improv in the way that it, like, you can go see the same show if there's improv elements multiple times and things will change. And that's one of the beauties of theater. But I feel like the way that we've written a script, we've written it so that with each different cast, with each different playing of it, there is an evolution and people are responding and reacting to each other's jokes, and also the way that the audience is responding to the jokes in a way that you can change the show and the energy of the show every single time. So that's my hope.
Well, and I mean, particularly with Riverona, I've always found there were jokes that we loved. And we were like, this is going to be a fucking banger. And it was just like, cut immediately. After like 4 shows, we're like, I can't say this line to crickets again. And there's stuff that where I was like, I remember it was not to do, I don't want to really give away a spoiler, but it's like at the end of episode 1, Romeo has a monologue about trying to be himself. And we wrote in that Juliet just says the exact same thing about trying to be herself. And I feel that like that joke is so far up its own ass that I was like, no one is going to get it. And then that was always one of the larger laughs that I got on stage. I don't know particularly what would resonate with the audience about just like, I don't know, monologues about being yourself and then saying the exact same thing. I don't know, but they always laughed at it and I was always surprised. And then there was stuff like the water polo joke, which I loved. Only water or regular polo this year. Or is a
They have enough money that they can have water and regular.
Tell the board that polo's back on this year.
Water
or regular. With these donations both at the same time. That's fucking really funny to me, and that never even a titter from the audience. So you never know what people are going to find funny.
That we put that joke in 2 episodes, and then we had to cut it from both.
Yeah. And I think horses in the pool is much less of a stretch than the meta joke of 2 characters talking about figuring themselves out and saying the exact same thing, but I don't fucking know. The audience loves that one and did not like horses in the pool.
I wonder if some of it is like placement in the show, right? Because the monologues are at the end of the show. So by that point, everyone's like bought in. They get what we're about. They know what our humor is, and they are primed for laughter that are our jokes. Whereas the water polo one was in like scene 3 and drunk. Every time I talk us in for an after intermission act, I'm like, they have more drinks.
Yeah.
They're gonna laugh. Be prepared.
If you're gonna make the water polo joke work like that, it has to be like held for an awkwardly amount of time. Because like the Principal Prince does not make any jokes like to anybody. He never says a joke. He never he says stuff that's funny, but he never says a joke. But
like Kevin,
that was the one time that he
on that.
Yeah, that was the one time that he like says it. He like tries to make the nurse laugh, and like there could have been a moment of like where it's like an awkward pause. He says the joke, awkward pause for long enough that the audience awkwardly laughs at how long.
Riverona is so full of way too long awkward pauses. Absolutely not. The way
I'm just saying that
the way to make that joke work is if it was a TV show, you would say both at the same time, and then you'd cut to a shot of horses in the pool. Or like or like an ambulance and horse CPR. That would be how you make that joke work, which you can't do in the theater.
I think
or
what
be
we
horses
just took from
versus
this
people.
are the differences between Megan as a director and Hans, and how they like to serve their jokes and punchlines. So this is brilliant. Kevin, I know you can hear me. Do you want to talk about your experience as a director at all, or do you want me to move on?
I will talk.
Okay, well then I'm going to ask my next question to these folks, and then Kevin can come and join us.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what has been your favorite thing about this go around?
I mean, working with new people, that's one of that's just one of the things that I like about this career choice so much in general, not just theater, but acting in general, is it's sort of gig work. So you're working with, like, you work on a project for, 1 month or 2 weeks or 4 years in our case, pretty much. And then you have a core group of people, but you'll bring other people in, and some people will move off, and then other people will come in and stuff like that. And sorry, I just got to pass making a pillow.
Baby back hurts.
Yeah, but I just enjoy working with new people and feeding off of that energy. I'm an energy vampire, and I want their different energy to come in and give me ideas to make jokes or, make people feel stuff and whatnot. I really appreciate that. And that's been my favorite experience so far.
I think it is already what I said previously, which is that the fact that I just get to act for some of it. We're not writing anymore. I'm only directing episode 4. Not fight. I'm not the fight director. So I just get to act, which is my first love. So it's nice to really get to dive in. I feel, and I'm sure Aaron, you can speak to this as well, doing all the stuff, you feel that spread a little thin. So you're trying to do your best at everything, but you really only have about 60% or 40% or whatever to give to any one thing. So doing less I feel like I'm doing better at both acting and directing because I'm not doing as much. So that's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my favorite thing was that 1 week in late May where I was like, hey, for the first time ever, we're not behind on getting stuff done. And I am now behind on getting stuff done. But that's okay. I did get an email just before this started from, I guess I can spoil this, whatever. CJSW wants us to do an interview for one of their monthly shows. So
Amazing.
Because it's radio, so no one has to wash their hair.
Yay.
Yeah.
And we'll just get the 2 voice actors up there. We'll sound really good.
They're like curious about the live streams we've been doing and why. They're curious about the episodic stuff, and they think the show already sounds cool. So that means we're doing something right. We are putting words out there and people are getting it.
Well, and it's interesting because I feel like and maybe it's just the nature of having worked on this for so long and having done the workshops last year, that, like, I don't want to say there's name recognition out there, but there must be a bit, because it's not like we didn't contact media outlets last year. It's not like we didn't send emails out and bother people and like that kind of stuff last year. It's just now people are, especially with, I think it benefits us that summer Shakespeare traditionally in this city is no more. So that's us now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that, like, all of a sudden, it feels all of a sudden.
Yeah, we are getting more interest. Like, I think unilaterally we can say we are getting more interest this time.
Yeah, and I think as far as, like, marketing goes, I don't know what Full Circle's theater history of marketing is, but the game has changed. There's way more avenues to hit with marketing, and with this show we've been trying to hit as many of them as possible.
Yeah,
and
but
seeing
the most
what
effective has fucking been posters,
Yeah.
which people say are useless now.
People say posters are dead, but they can't be, because we know of like 6 people who have told us that they came from posters.
Yeah, and we met them in the wild, like not even at the show. They came to the show, they left. We've been outside.
Well,
then people have just been like, we saw the show, and I'm like, oh, you had a friend in the show? They're like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
What?
Like, we did it. We got non-theater people into the theater.
Yeah.
You can do it too.
We did it,
Write
guys.
a stupid fucking show.
We did it, Joe.
Just work really, really hard, nonstop, all the time,
For 4 years,
and you too can have several people
6 extra people
come
go
see
to your
your
show.
Yeah. It's not a dream
Kevin, welcome
anymore.
back. You want to shout with us?
I mean, I've been listening in.
So, directing, how's that for you?
It's going good. So I think I've been very open about this. I'm not a huge fan of directing. I'm not much of I don't see myself as much a director. I really do see myself more a writer. So it has been an interesting experience, essentially being able to step into that. It was nice doing a episode that we have done a version of recently, and I was able to lean on that quite
Mostly
a bit.
the same cast.
Yeah, and that was directed by Megan and Aaron, our very talented directors. I was able to kind of just steal your work and use a lot of it, but it's nice to be able to insert my opinions in moments, because I do like when we are when I'm in the certain roles doing certain things. It's been a fun experience having to think about more things. There's also a lot directing and acting at the same time. That probably is. It's just it's hard to. I feel both like, oh, I should definitely, when I'm on stage acting, I should focus on that because that's what important. But you also can't disregard that you should be having some awareness of what's going on elsewhere. I think a lot about when I've watched. Something that goes into my head a lot is watching behind the scenes when he does Silent Bob in like Clerks and that. There's behind the scenes shots of him directing, and he's like standing there obviously as Silent Bob, being very quiet. And now when I watch them, I understand that he's actually also directing the scene. I remember at least one behind the scenes thing where it's some conversation that Jay's in with some, and they're going, and one of them messes up, and you just see him just go, all right, just go again from the top. Like, oh, so he's both.
He's mic'd and everything. Yeah,
he's doing it, but it's interesting to see him on there being in character as Silent Bob, who's just like standing there in his like trench coat with his cigarettes, so pretty much Principal Prince, just saying, no, do that again, try it, try it again, do this. I'm like, it's cool to see. It's a thing that people have done, and I think it is a somewhat unique skill set that I hope I am growing into.
Cool. Do you have to go back to your game, or do you have a moment to tell us your favorite thing about this go around?
No, I have something to talk about. I think that my favorite thing about every go around, because we now have every go around, is seeing different people's takes on these characters. Because the characters themselves align kind of with cliches, and they're kind of stock characters. I do think we did a good job of like fleshing them out and making them evolve beyond just being stock cliches. But they all have that kind of base. Means that seeing different people play them is always a very fun experience. Why, when we did the fundraiser for the Rolls in the Bowl was just a stellar way of doing that, because you just got to see people step into a role, and they're kind of doing it in their own way, but they're also, some people are kind of imitating the other actors who are doing it. That's fun.
I love playing Benvolio.
And I loved playing Romeo.
And I was a great Juliet, one of the best, they say.
Top 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I will say one of the highlights actually was last night's rehearsal when Danielle, who plays our Gregory, so she's like a fairly small student character, stepped in and played both Mercutio and Nurse at various times throughout our runs, because Sarah was held up on set and Claire was having her birthday.
Yeah. We let people have those.
Really stepped up.
Yeah.
Did she kind of got the essence of how the other actors performed the characters, but she totally brought her own thing.
There was definitely edges that I hadn't seen particularly with Mercutio, we have had multiple nurses, but particularly with Mercutio, it's been Sarah from day one. So like having just a new voice read that character was honestly crazy.
Yeah.
And
I
like
know. It was like such a
Danielle,
mind.
yeah, definitely. I saw particularly she did Sarah's, like what's Yumi and Sarah had discussed in episode 1, where maybe Mercutio has like a vampire voice.
Hmm.
And she took that from Sarah, and that was the same. So you could tell she had been paying attention in rehearsal. But there was things where she would say a joke with a completely different inflection or a completely different intention. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I had not thought of it that way, because Sarah is just so ingrained in my head. So it was very interesting to watch her do that. She did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, it was like an audition for her for our company.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I was like, oh, girl, I'll work with you
really killed
anytime.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
100%.
timing works, you can be in any play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you the versatility, or not the versatility, like just the so many different ways an actor can approach a role. Whether it's like through their body, through their voice, through like Meisner and all these different things. There's so many different ways to like start the process of building a character for that actor, and it's just cool to see. It's a great acting exercise.
Well,
just like jump into the trope and see
Yeah.
what comes out of it and see
Danielle's
what you like.
obviously, like, she's a great singer. She's an amazing singer with a lot of musical theater training, and you could tell she approaches a character by their voice. Now that I've seen her try multiple characters, I see like that's her in, which is like not the way I get in at all to a character at all, even though I'm a professional voice actor. Like saying like, what does this person's voice sound like is not my first step, and I feel like it is her first step. Just from watching her work. So it was also very interesting to see someone do that.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah. Well, tropes are such a huge part of acting, and especially for this show in particular, like what Kevin was saying, just being able to having viewed enough content that you can understand the tropes. If somebody says like, oh, this person's the hero, oh, this person's the villain, this person's the infinite loser, all those different things, they're more of a trickster, any of those things. If somebody says that to you, the first thing that comes to your brain, being able to either have it come out of your mouth as a voice or like change the physicality of the character because of that, whatever that is to you, that is, it's always cool to see and like how somebody approaches that. But
that just really reminded me, because I always teach the students that I work with archetypes. And I just remembered I have to write an entire play this week.
It's a children's play. It'll be fine. Just take the Riverona jokes and make them less sexy.
I'm like, I always teach kids archetypes when we talk about character creation, and this is like what we did for Riverona, is we're talking specifically archetypes that appear in TV shows. But I always teach a class on archetype versus stereotype versus cliche, and how you can take archetypes and combine them to make interesting characters. And how you can use them as a basis for a character. But then I was thinking about how that relates to this, and then I just remembered I have to write this play. I honestly don't. I do not know what I'm going to do it Friday morning.
Again, I used to write those, like, I'd go home from camp and write it that night and go back to camp the next day. You can do it as soon as you sit down. It just like comes out of your little fingies. It'll be fine. I promise you. Up and down, the forward camp counselor coordinator and me promises you it will happen.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's like tomorrow morning and Friday morning. That's the time I have.
Hey, we're not going to be on the news tomorrow. Perfect time to write a dumb kids play.
Yeah.
It only needs to be like 10 pages.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. They wrote most of it anyway. I have their outline.
You're just putting the jokes in, so it's good.
Yeah.
Really, your job
it's about a murder. It's about a murder done by a robot, and there's time travel.
Now you're just stealing plot points from Riverona.
Hmm?
I once wrote an entire play that 9-year-olds did. It was a musical where they sang songs to the tunes of popular pop songs about the haunted mansion next to Mount Olympus.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fair.
That's
Yeah.
very. The
And at the
setting is
end, the girls
interesting.
turned against the boys, and they did the Thriller dance to Taylor Swift's Love Story because it
Mm.
kind of syncs up.
Mm.
The
Oh,
Romeo Take Me Somewhere We Can Be Alone is when the Thriller
Mm. Hilarious.
part hits.
I
So
have to
you can do
include
it.
Taylor
You'll be
Swift
fine.
songs because I told the 5 kids that I teach they were not allowed to make Taylor Swift a character because they have already done that this year.
Okay, but can we put this out here? We are bowing to Love Story, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I think we
did.
have to.
I mean, maybe Troy. I mean, Troy is the episode 1, right? So like
No, that was in episode 1.
Oh, I guess not. Yeah.
I guess it's up to Kevin.
Yeah.
oh,
Kevin and you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'd be fine with Love Story. I still do not fucking know what I have ideas for my soundtrack, but I think now what I'm really going for with the sound is I want to find lyrics that are very relevant to the scene
They're
that's coming
too
up.
on point. Okay,
Yeah.
so we need to have some wine and listen to some music, like you and me
Yeah,
and
because
Claire.
I would like to. I just keep thinking the one thing that's stuck in my head. I've come up with a bunch of concepts. The one thing that keeps sticking in my head is when Juliet says, "I have some goodbyes to make." I just hear "Goodbye to You" by was it Michelle Branch? Goodbye to you.
oh, yeah. I don't know who that is.
Goodbye to everything that I knew. I think it's Michelle Branch, but that plays in my
Michelle
head.
Branch.
But then I'm like, okay, what if every transition song was stupidly accurate to something?
it.
So just pick,
And that's my concept.
Pick one, the last line, like the last word
Yeah.
in every single scene, and then just do like put that in brackets and say lyrics.
Word association. Yeah.
Yeah, just find some.
Because I really want I also really want like something to do with magic for Juliet.
Mhm.
Or like something about trains going into that episode, going into that scene because of Peter's big monologue.
Yeah.
And like, so that's I think that's going to be most satisfying for me comedically.
Yeah. And you know what? This is about what makes you feel good.
Yeah, because my other concept was just doing really new indie rock, like a lot of teen dramas do. They get really
niche, but doesn't that
inexpensive.
seem like too much work for you?
Yeah, because I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
And I
One of
think
Kevin's doing like indie rock covers, like the covers that they do in teen dramas, where it's the prom version, the prom band version of whatever, or they got like Lifehouse to play at their prom or something for the end of the episode, and you're like, oh, okay, that's sure.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Like Evanescence, Bring Me to Life plays when Juliet wakes up in the tomb. Like this kind of shit. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
oh, I'm so on board with this. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I want a joke soundtrack. That's what I'm going for.
I mean, mine is about as jokey as you could. I mean, I think it's still relevant. I chose like one song that is hyper relevant to that episode, in my opinion, and then I got as many different covers of it as I could. Saw where it worked, and then I chose a bunch of different other songs that were relevant, like an orchestral dark version of "Sweet Dreams" for Tybalt, and "My Way." Also, a lot of them are for Tybalt. We have at least three different songs for your big scenes with that I'm excited about. And then other just relevant ones splashed in there from teen dramas that I think are good.
But I want to specifically go hyper.
Yeah.
Hyper
You want the lyrics
yes.
to literally.
Yeah. So it's like, like witchy woman or like black magic woman, or I got the magic in me, which is very Pitch Perfect, which is one of our kind of references.
Just use the Pitch Perfect soundtrack.
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 1.
No, there's also this. So there's an emo. Like I can't say that I was an emo kid because I was not an emo kid because I was too insecure to be an emo kid. I just really listen. Like I didn't do the makeup and the look because I was too insecure. And I was
go there.
Yeah, I was afraid people would make fun of me, like legitimately. I had a belt with or a cuff with studs on it, and I wore a lot of black eyeliner, but like I couldn't do it.
Fully commit.
And then I remember like I wore it all summer. I wore like 2 belts. I was like full Avril Lavigne. I was like always wearing like a tie, and like I was wearing 2 belts and like the cuff, and I like put a ton of black eyeliner on. And I remember like the first week at school, I was like, oh no, I can't do this. But I did listen to a lot of emo music, and I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but we've adjusted the apothecary scene because apothecary is not a thing that exists now. And so Romeo approaches an exterminator to get rat poison to kill himself with. And there is a emo song I used to listen to. It used to be one of my favorites. And the hook on that goes, I'm eating rat poison for dinner. Pull the cord from the phone. I'm dining alone tonight. And I think that'll be what plays at the end of that. At the end of that,
exactly
scene.
How much song would play.
Yeah,
perfection.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So now that we found some joy and some excitement, I would like to ask you both and Kevin, who I know is listening, what was the hardest thing about this process so far? It can be this specific production, ideally, but it could be the entire thing.
Hardest thing.
Yeah, like first since his
time is limited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say. Not that like, oh, I think it was easy. I'm just trying to think of like, because it all has levels of difficulty. It's you're making a play. You're making a 4-episode show.
Should I rephrase as what was hard that you would like to talk about?
I think one of the things is not specifically just about directing, but just creating the entire process is conceptualizing something that really hasn't been done. Like I obviously don't know every single show that's been done ever. I don't feel like this specific has been done in this way where we're doing a 4-episode TV show on stage. There's so many different layers of meta to it, and trying to establish all of those things. And one of the hardest forms of comedy is making something that is supposed to be bad on purpose. Something that, to make sure the audience is in on the joke with you. That when you are doing things that you would not do this in a normal show. The amount of times we've had to tell actors, hey, you gotta act worse is unheard of in theater and film. Yeah, it's changing your mindset to fit something that is really for.
Really?
I think
Kevin?
For me, it's letting things be done.
Megan, I feel like that would be hard for you. I've known you for a long time.
I'm in fact not going to elaborate, and I'm going to let that statement be done.
Let that sit.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think the hardest thing has happened yet. I think the hardest thing potentially will be these next 2 weeks, just for sheer hours of stuff that we're all going to be putting into finalizing things. For me, finalizing things is always the hardest part of like any project, because it is one of those things where it's like you can keep pushing that boulder forever and ever, but having it be like, okay, it in whatever form it is in now, it's done. And we will move forward from there.
Just copy my answer.
So that's
just copying my answer.
Not really. I'm saying.
Is he copying my answer or what?
I'm saying it's.
He's saying the work before
the work that we have. The work that we have going forward. I don't know that it will be the hardest part of this process, but the work that we have going forward from here to tighten the screws for me right now feels like it is going to be the hardest part, because the rest of the stuff leading up till now was sort of like getting people ready, getting stuff ready, like blocking and stuff like that. Stuff that you have a good concept of how to do, because I've you've done it so many times. It's like, oh, this, we're gonna block it, and then I'm gonna look up music, and then I'm gonna see sound effects and look up props, see what we need, see what we don't need. But now, like, once you get down to it, you have to start being like, we don't need this, we need this, and like, who knows what's gonna happen. So it's like the fear of the unknown of like, we'll see what happens, is a little bit scary to me. So that might be the hardest part, but you never know. It might be not that bad. It's just the impending of everything coming together and being like, are we going to, bring the boat into the pier nicely to a nice stop and settle it exactly? Did we turn off the engines quick enough, or did we try to cram too much into too small of a period of time?
So I started with a new counselor this week, because besides Riverona coming into harbor, as you put it, I've had a lot of family stuff going on. That's been difficult, and also I'm a very emotional person, so stuff like that's hard for me. But my therapist said my mantra for the week, the motto to go into the week with, should be, whatever happens, it's going to be okay. And it might even be good. Which I think is the attitude that you need to approach.
Oh no, I'm excited.
Like this with.
Absolutely.
It will be okay.
It
will happen.
I'm excited, but there's always that part of there's always the part of the brain where it's like, am I doing too much for too short of time? We'll find out. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good no matter what. It's going to be good no matter what. It's just one of those things where it's like, once you get close enough, it's like, we actually don't have time for that. I'm sorry that we even brought it up in the first place. We're moving on without it, kind of thing.
Not to like correct you or give you therapy in this session, but as someone who has produced a lot of theater over the past 12, 13 years, I think you're undervaluing the work you've done already. I think a lot more things are in place than either of you think they are. The things that we're trying to put into place are really fine, like, going back through the calligraphy of the wedding invite and like putting the little ticks and flicks on the letters. Like, all of the lettering is already done and all of the information is already on the page. There's really only two things in the show that I feel like we've brought up to the cast, like, oh, we're going to do this thing, that we might have to let go.
Yeah.
And one of the things is like pretty, I think, I'm being purposefully vague. One of the things that I think is going to change when we're in the space, we're going to have to let go. I think everyone knows we're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Except for one person.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's the thing, is like, once you start doing tech and stuff like that, stuff does change. And we have such a good group of people that it is, I mean, this is, like I said, this is my first foray into directing. So trusting that what you have, like, trusting other people, I guess. It's like everybody knows what they're doing. It's like, eventually you got to be like, okay, I'm assuming everybody knows what they're doing, because nobody's coming to me being like, I don't know what I'm doing. So you got to move on from there, because you can't just can't tell everybody everything multiple times, until you're blue in the face. You just got to trust that there's like, yeah, they get it. They'll be fine.
Yeah. There's truly just one thing that, like, logistically is not going to logistic. And I know it. You know it. Whoopi Goldberg knows it.
Whoopi Goldberg goes script.
It's not going to change. It's not going to change anything for the show. So
no, it's not.
That's fine.
It's not going to change. It's honestly not going to change anything that anyone has already been doing.
privilege. I'll say the privilege of having worked on this for 8,000 years. We've known it's been coming.
It's been
And
82
we're working
years.
We've been working with the same group of people, so we have the advantage of that foresight. And Aaron putting in a lot of work for, what other people might not see as particular marketing, but we're trying to stay relevant, trying to stay at the forefront of people's minds, including these streams and including birthday posts for Claire and congratulation posts for Joel. As much as we do celebrate those people and love them and would do it anyway, it doesn't hurt marketing wise.
Also, the birthday post
to wish someone happy birthday. And maybe their friends see that we wish them happy birthday and they're like, oh, right, that's Claire's
thing.
show. Riverona, right. Gotta buy tickets.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, art is about being showcased. Painters don't, I'm sure tons do, just paint at home and then leave it there and have nobody ever see it. But I don't know if it can really be called art until another person has seen it or interacted with it or whatever. Until that actually happens, it's not finished. It hasn't finished its cycle.
The phrase that always stuck with me, I think it sounds so stupid because I hate to be like a bro, but I think it was Steve Jobs that said, real artists ship. So you can make as much art as you want alone. We can sit and have our writers retreats and go to First Street Market. Shout out First Street Market for hosting Riverona. every week for 3 years, basically. Not quite that much, but you can go to First Street Market and blow smoke up our own asses and talk about Riverona and talk about shit. But until you show it, until you ship it out, it is just it is nothing. And I'm not undervaluing processes, because some people paint as a form of therapy or paint as catharsis or write as catharsis. But it's like a professional artist, you got to show it. It's got to go out there.
Well, even if you are painting by yourself, you can call it art for yourself or whatever, in therapy or whatever you want to call it. But if nobody else knows that it exists, it's kind of one of those weird.
Well, I don't know. I kind of think that's just when we're talking about the difference between like the word professional, because I think art does stand on its own as, even if nobody ever sees it, it's still art. Maybe not capital A professional, because at that point you got a whole bunch of other things going on, but you're still taking the steps of art creation. But it's the weird thing of, but Amelia, you don't have to put something out to make money. We're not saying that you have to make money off of art to be an artist. No, but
absolutely not.
I think just part of creating something is hopefully being able to show it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with creating art for yourself and still
absolutely
because in that case, you the audience.
Yeah, absolutely not. If that is the purpose of your art, then far be it from me. But basically, all I'm saying is, come see the show. A bunch of artists.
See the show, or else it's not art.
A bunch of artists.
It's not
taking that away from us.
Don't you want this to be art? Please, no.
That is something I haven't said in this rehearsal process. And when we did episode 1, at the end of a lot of rehearsals, or takes. It's not really takes when you're doing theater. Working bits, I would say art. And the kids really loved that. And by the kids, I mean the young people that we hired. They thought it was very funny.
Two adult teenagers.
Yeah.
2 19-year-olds.
No,
Kevin, did you want to say something about the birthday posts? And was that thing where I realized it's someone's birthday at 10 a.m. the day of their birthday, and I send you a message going, oh God, Kevin, make a birthday post. Is that the thing you wanted to say?
He's gone.
He's gone. He's doing a thing. He missed his moment. He did say birthday post, though, and then didn't.
Yeah.
And I imagine it was
I was just going to say that with that birthday post getting sent out, the photo. I made the post, but Erin sent me the photos for it, and the photos she sent me, one was of Claire quite far away, and the other one was Claire just in like the short shorts and the crop top. I'm like, guys, that's what we're using.
We have
I
so
feel
few
like
show photos of Claire.
That is
we
also true.
need that friggin' Boogie's Burgers shirt, and I feel like I'm gonna reach out to Boogie's Burgers and be like, "Will you give us a shirt, and we'll put you in the program?"
You know
Do
what?
it.
Let's try. The worst thing that can happen is they say no.
Or it's like, "Can you sell us the shirt at a discount, and we'll put you in the program?"
The staff rate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We do need the shirt though, right? Like
we
it's
need
very
the shirt.
good.
it's a good shirt. Yeah.
If I went into Spencer's Gifts and had to ask the teenager that was working if I could just buy a bag for a 3-minute sight gag, we need the although Spencer's did have Hooters themed shirts. I will say this, if we do need that. I would rather it be Boogie's though, because at least we'd be supporting something local.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something about that specific tank top that just like really worked.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We need it.
Yeah. Kevin wanted a candid picture of Claire, and there are so few Riverona pictures of Claire.
I'm
There
gonna
will be
message
more.
Boogie's right now. Let's see if we can get an answer in real time.
Ooh.
Sounds good to me.
I'll do it right now.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good
Makes
to
sense to me.
me. Yeah.
So here's a thing that we have not talked about on stream because it's happened since the last one. But another thing that was hard is every time we cast this show, we go through our list of people who auditioned and we make a short list. And then, I'm sure very annoyingly, I always make us make a second list in case we lose someone. Like, I always make us make a backup list. I think it gets very frustrating towards the end of the night when we just want to leave.
Yeah.
But the reason that we do it is because unpaid theater, profit share, at some point you will lose someone.
Mhm.
We did, in fact, lose 2 actors over the past 2 weeks. Different reasons, none of which had anything to do with the show.
One of them just wandered off, never to be seen again.
Yeah, they went with the Halls of Mirrors.
Yeah. No, nothing to do with the show. Yeah.
We said to get rid of the Halls of Mirrors, and
yeah.
But it wasn't as hard as it could have been. Like, that is the type of thing that I think could have really caused an aggressive level of anxiety. And I think for all of us, it was just like a medium level. It wasn't not stressful.
Well, it's because we've been through something similar before, and this is a smaller facsimile of that, in my opinion, with more time to figure it out. We've literally couldn't have had less time with one of the other issues that we had. So this we met. We as soon as we got the info, we met after rehearsal and we just talked it out as a full group. And I think that's what. If we just went home, we would have been fretting about it all night instead of actually like actioning it, which is something that we have become pros at this point. It's just like, oh, we have problems here. Let's all talk together and figure it out instead of being like, oh no, we have problems.
I feel bad because I have to imagine the stress I don't feel. Madeline is feeling it. I feel like I'm not stressed. There's a finite level of stress in the world, and because I'm not feeling it in the same way that I normally would, it must be in Madeline's body.
I reached out to Madeline and I said, if you ever need to run lines, just let me and Megan know, and we'll run lines all day. So she's fine.
Well, I can't do that. I have to write a play for children.
I will be Juliet. It doesn't matter. If it's running lines, I can play every single character in the show except for the one that she's learning lines for. So that's fine.
She actually did, like, when I asked her, what she said verbatim was, "Hey, Erin, I can do it if you haven't filled the role yet!" !
Well, Madeline is.
That's
you
a
can tell
response
she's
of an
pro.
excited person to me.
I am very excited to see what she does because she's brought such an interesting new flavor to the deep fryer, like very grounded.
Yeah.
And it really actually works for the deep fryer. Like, Madeline is not playing a caricature of a stoner. She could go full Tommy Chong if she wanted to, and you see like little flickers of Tommy Chong, which I love, but it's very much like earnest, which we don't have enough of. We have hired a lot of high energy
Nonsense.
zany people, ourselves oftentimes included. And it's like Madeline brings a really grounded energy, and I think that's really that the like backbone of her as a performer, I think, is very grounded and real based on what I've seen from her. So I think seeing her as Rosaline, that grounded energy, although it's going to be a different version of that, I think is going to be really good.
I think it's just cool. Those characters make sense because they are like polar opposites of each other on like every spectrum. Like if you have like the XYZ axis, those two do not even come close to intersecting, except for maybe in the confidence department. Whereas like the deep fryer, but the way where their confidence comes from is completely different zone. So I'm excited to see how that pans out. It's going to be good.
And what's kind of cool too is we kind of had two different concepts for how we were going to costume Madeline's deep fryer. We had a more like 1960s flower from Ghosts vibe, and then we had another one that was a little bit more like The Big Lebowski, which I think is kind of what she's drawing on as inspiration for her fryer. And then finding out that she was going to play Rosaline was the thing that made the decision for what way we were going with the costume. Because we're going to have to make like such a huge visual change between the two characters.
Be a completely different person.
Okay, that's a great
Well, I think one really lovely thing, if you want just talking really easy, is Madeline has lovely, lovely long hair. And I think Rosaline being up and Deep Fryer being down will be a major change.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Visually.
Yep.
And she has to wear glasses when she's the sexy teacher. It is important. That's how you know she's a teacher.
No, it's in the script. She wears glasses to indicate she is a sexy teacher. It says so in the script.
Stage directions, they tell us. No one else is wearing glasses in the show except for sometimes Joel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a weird stoner Clark Kent Superman situation. It's like hot for teacher by day.
Oh my God.
Stoner barbecue or stoner churro truck owner by night, living near the woods. Yeah.
You know what? That might be the hardest thing about the show. Getting all those dang churros. Oh my God. Were either of you there the day that I said to the students, I was like, you guys aren't getting churros. You're not eating churros on stage.
Yeah.
Later they came to they're like, in this scene, do we get churros? And I was like, no, I'm not paying for churros for you guys.
Yeah. That would be a lot of churros by the end of production. That would be a lot of churros.
Already have to get 3 churros for every episode 2 and 1 churro for every episode 4. I'm not getting more. No churros for chorus characters. They're not chorus characters, but like in those scenes.
Yeah. No, we just don't need a bunch of sugar all over the stage too. That has to be cleaned every night. Like there'd be tons of sugar on stage, backstage, everywhere.
It's so many churros. Doing some math, we do episode 2 7 times. So 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 8, 30. We need 30 churros, guys.
We need 30 churros. We need so many pretzels. We need small cans of Fresca.
We need 8 small cans of Fresca, plus ones for rehearsal.
Apple.
We need apples.
Apples, yeah.
At least.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
We've written a lot of food to be consumed.
Now, admittedly, I was like, maybe just don't eat food, but you put food in front of someone.
Evan,
What do I add to it?
Madeline said she was going to eat it. It doesn't matter how old she is. If we give it to her, she's going to eat it.
So this is the thing. I feel like I've talked about this before, but I once had to eat an apple on stage, and it was a show Troy directed. Who's directing episode 1. I had eaten an apple on stage. It was Troy said, "Can you?" Because we're supposed to eat lunch. All these scenes happen and Reasons to Be Pretty over the lunch break. And I would eat an apple every time, and he would get me really tiny apples, and they were very cute. But I would eat it, and I would get really mad, and I'd throw it in the garbage can. And Troy was using like the industrial sized garbage can, and there was one
we're gonna use.
Yeah, I ate the apple, I took the core, and I threw it in the garbage can, and it hit the inner rim of the garbage can in such a way that it exploded.
It did.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Bits of apple all over the stage, and in character I had to be like, oh shit, oh no, and clean up fucking applesauce that I had made inadvertently. Because it didn't explode into the garbage can. No. That would have been too easy. It clipped the outside of the garbage can and exploded like mid fucking air and rained applesauce over the entire set. So,
food.
don't eat angrily on stage.
But plus side, I don't have to eat my pretzel.
This is true.
So my pretzel can be reused for all.
Yeah, I just need to
performances
have
plus
2 bites of pretzel on stage.
Yeah, but if you have to bite it at all, that's lasting like
Yeah.
maybe 2 performances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The Fresca. Oh man, Fresca was on sale. It might, like the
Oh.
small cans were on sale.
Hmm.
The sale might still be going tomorrow. Okay. This is good. These are the things we're talking about.
If it's not on sale again
Something
now,
else.
I'm sure it will be at least some point during the show. We'll just have to keep our eyes peeled for Fresca every time we do grocery shopping.
I want to share some horrifying news. So
Oh,
I
no.
found the marshmallows that we used during
Oh,
the
God.
Common Ground 1 production.
Oh.
Ate one, and they're not stale.
Well, they are vegan, so they should just be sugar. Really.
They were like not hard at all. Normal marshmallow in my mouth.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's not great. I don't know that anyone should eat those. Maybe ever. Maybe ever is the lesson we've learned.
Well, you're still alive.
Yeah.
That's true. It's been like a week.
Well, that means we can potentially reuse those.
Once again, people have warned us if there's food in front of them, they will eat it.
Yep.
It's true.
Also,
Right.
I think some of those, I can't remember what, some of those marshmallows were in my pocket. I don't think I put them back in the bag. I think I was probably better
Kevin,
than that.
were you in Quiet Please in high school with me? Were you one of the townspeople?
Quiet, please.
It was
No.
Nick and Clark and myself.
No, I don't believe I was in Quiet, please.
Okay. Because there was a
Yeah.
show I did in high school called Quiet Please, and I had to eat on stage. It was a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I got horrific food poisoning because one of the things I had to eat was sauerkraut. And the young stage manager opened up the jar of sauerkraut and ripped the label off and then stored it not in the fridge for weeks.
Yeah, that's not how you do sauerkraut. That's not how you do many things.
That's not how you do almost any
Yeah.
food substance.
It was directed by Owen Chan. Shout out, Mr. Chan. And he kept telling me to stop eating so much. And it wasn't because he thought I was going to get food poisoning. He had no idea. He was just worried I would choke as I was speaking. But like my character is supposed to be like, oh, blah, 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 no, this is delicious. And like not understanding what's happening around her. It's like the whole point of it. So I ate a lot of food on stage. And then he was like giving notes during dress rehearsal. And I was like laying on the ground. And he's like, well, you shouldn't have eaten so much. It's why you have a stomach ache. You like took in too much air. And then I was like horrifically sick for 2 days. And I was like, nope. The stage manager was keeping the jar of sauerkraut underneath a set piece.
I bet he was so embarrassed when he found that out.
Mm-hmm. I also
feel deep shame
already
about that
hated
forever.
sauerkraut. I already didn't like it.
Why was sauerkraut in the script?
Yes.
That's weird. That
It
you're
was
like,
spare-
ooh,
it was
delicious.
spare rib. So
sauerkraut.
these two
Yeah,
brothers
admittedly,
lived together, but they've
sauerkraut
drawn a
is a-
chalk line down the middle of their house, and I barge in because my car's broken down, and I stay with them. You watched it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and they, I'm like, oh, what's for dinner? One of them has sauerkraut, and one of them has spare ribs.
I'd go with the spare ribs.
And I eat both of those.
Of the two of those, if I was
Eats both the
eating,
things.
Yeah.
if I was going to somebody's house for dinner and they're like, we've divided the house down the middle, you can have sauerkraut or spare ribs. I'm like, sauerkraut's fine. I'm fine with sauerkraut, but it is a garnish for food. Like it's one of the things on the plate. It's not the main feature.
Thing.
Yeah. It's like I can't eat enough sauerkraut to be full without worrying about eating that much sauerkraut, so I'm not going to eat that. Yeah.
Fear that we missed Kevin's fun fact about sauerkraut. I think we were going to have a real Paris moment.
No, I was just going to say
What about
sauerkraut is a funny word.
No.
I think that's probably the extent of it. Why
I'm
is
so
it
glad I threw
sauerkraut?
that back to you.
Why is it sauerkraut? Because sauerkraut's a funny word. Come up with a funnier food.
Okay. Well, we are hitting 8:20. We have sufficiently talked about the show for a minute.
Yeah.
Which is impressive and exciting. And I don't know if we want to pivot to try to do a game or if we just want to like wrap up an early stream. Megan is still trying to get Boogies to give us.
Yeah. I want it to be good. So this is what I have. I don't want to put them on blast publicly.
We'll go to the media if you don't give us a free shirt.
No, but I'm just like, hey, Boogies fam, I have a weird question for you. We are a small local theater company, and we're producing a play called Riverona, Romeo and Juliet meets Riverdale. We did a workshop performance last year, and one of our cast members was working for you at the time. She moved back to her hometown. So we were able to get a hold of one of your Hooters-style Boogies tank tops for a costume piece in the show. First of all, people went crazy for that costume last time. Such a big reaction. We were wondering if we'd work something out with you to get our hands on one of those shirts again. Let us know what it would take to make this happen. Shout out in the program. Let us make you a live commercial. You can't give it to us for free, but you will sell it to us at a discounted rate because we're poor. Let us know.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's locally owned. It used to be owned by a chef friend of my ex-friend's husband, but that is now way too tenuous of a connection to be able to exploit in any way. Also, I don't know if he owns it anymore. It's been like 12 years.
Or if anyone out there watching, you have the Boogies Burgers Hooters shirt and you want to lend it to us, we'll give you a commercial.
We'll give it back. We are making a commercial about a man.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess we have to make it on Friday while we're all drunk.
I guess we do when we're at his house.
Yeah.
That reminds me. So we're
Just
doing
get
our
Sarah
Liquor and Lies
to
party.
inconspicuously film him when he's not looking, and we'll use that footage. It'll be
Just, like,
way
in his
funnier.
natural environment.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Like a documentary style?
Kind of like I think
David Attenborough.
Yeah, we could. Sorry, Aaron, go on though. You were.
I was going to say, I want to obviously take like some video and stuff for our stories when we're having our Liquor and Lies party. But I just want to make sure that no one has like things they don't want me to put on the internet.
Yeah, we'll make sure. We'll make sure everybody's
We're a
okay
respectful
with
theater company. I just want
that.
to discuss
Yeah.
people's boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always important. Because once something's online, it is on there forever.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's a story that disappears after 24 hours.
Yeah.
People record those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to answer a question that I don't know if got answered, I don't know if we should start a game. It feels late and Kevin's kind of back and forth. And I feel like we've had I think if I watched this and I liked Riverona or us at all, I'd be entertained by the stuff we have said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I think this was interesting and good.
Yeah.
Put your
Everyone else was
when you
laughing
open a
because-
jar, put it in the fridge. If that's the only thing you take from this stream, everybody.
Also, everyone else was laughing because I was laughing without context.
Well, they should come back and watch the stream afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. Nice.
Okay. Well,
Hi,
Hi, Darcy.
Darcy.
Oh.
Hey, tell Darcy she needs to give me that prop.
Hey,
She
Darcy,
knows the
you
one I
need-
mean.
You need to give Aaron that prop.
I know which prop.
One.
I
When I
watch.
texted her
I
about.
follow for
She-
fullcircletheater.yyc on.
I'm gonna try to hit.
She
Kevin,
said
did
she
you see
keeps-
my new prop that I purchased?
Very good. Is that?
I'm gonna attack you.
I have tried to give it to Kevin to bring to you, and he's like, "We don't need it yet." So
22.
You
I
need
don't
it
think
now.
that's true.
yes, it is.
I do not know what prop you're talking about, so it can't be true.
Okay, hits me.
No.
Darcy
still don't
knows.
know. I still don't know what the prop is.
Double scimitar.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil things. It's a spoiler.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Also, get
You
the
can see
basketball.
this prop
Steal
though, because I'm not going to tell you when it is.
Slashing damage.
I
Field that small
brought
child's basketball for tomorrow.
I brought a condom and then I put it in the episode 3, 1, and then I was like, "There's a condom in here already." So now we have 2. So that's
And
good.
there is a
I
bag
guess.
of condoms.
Oh, okay.
I have
Well,
a
I
whole
didn't know
bag
we
of
had that.
condoms.
So I was like, I brought one anyways. I was like, there,
Oh,
we
it's
have
actually
it.
really
I was like,
hot
oh, we
in
didn't
the
need
house
that
right
one at
now,
all.
and this is really nice.
Yeah. But
All
all the
right,
stuff
well, I
that,
think I should maybe say our goodbyes.
yeah, I think so.
So we wrap it up.
I like this little fan because it is excessively loud, and I think that'll be funny for the thought I have.
It's funny too. Even though I, Tybalt, will hate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
also
so loud.
I got it in the most obnoxious color, I think.
One more time to hit.
Well, you visible from an audience is the way we describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not obnoxious, visible.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. Well, I think we're going to call this stream a wraps. It was a good hour and a half, and we talked about a lot of
Cool.
interesting things. If I can give you a call to action, which I'm going to lampshade to end this stream, please buy your tickets to Riverona. You can get them at bit.ly/capital FCT lowercase at uppercase FLP. So that essentially stands for bit.ly at Full Circle Theater at a Flimsy Plan. You can figure it out. It's everywhere on all of our merchandising. Just buy your tickets. It would make us feel better. It would make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
know you're going to come.
And you
so
can
buy
also
them
just
ahead of time.
Google Riverona and it'll get you there too. You can.
Yeah,
It's true.
I don't think
Nothing
that
else
word
is coming
exists
up.
anywhere else, so,
Yeah.
Because Riverona is our stupid placeholder name, just like in the Dragon Age games where they call the country that the world that Dragon Age happens in Thedas, Thedas. That stood for the Dragon Age setting.
Yep.
And it ended up being called Thedas because they called it Thedas so many times, and that's what happened with Riverona.
If
We called it Riverona too many times, and now it is Riverona.
I was always like Riverona's the best name for it because it's good.
Yeah, it's a good name. Yeah.
You
Try to top it, but you can't. You can't do it.
If there's anything I can give on this final note, yeah, make sure your working titles are either so unwieldy they can never be used, or are bad enough you'll never want to keep up. Don't make a working title that's maybe good because it'll just become the title.
So on that note,
There you go.
Verona, here we come.
Yay!
Bye.